Every day, we are confronted with the darker aspects of human nature, witnessing acts of cruelty that often defy understanding. While these tragedies are a somber reality of life, they demand our attention. As someone immersed in the world of crime, I aim to share the most shocking stories and explore what compels individuals to commit such heinous acts. I'm Michael, and today I present another astonishing true crime story. The basement was icy cold, and Kimberly could hardly breathe. Her hands were bound, preventing her from calling for help. As footsteps echoed down the stairs, 3 figures loomed over her, whispering nervously. One of them struck a match, and in seconds, a small flame ignited a far more terrifying scene. By night's end, there would be no ransom, no escape, only a brutal crime that shocked the community and shattered a family forever. But how did everything go so tragically wrong? And why did their plan spiral into something so much more horrifying? Kimberly Antonacos was born on November 15, 1974, in Queens, New York. She was an only child of Tommy Antonacos, a successful technology executive, and his wife Marlene. Despite her parents' eventual divorce, Kimberly, affectionately called Kim by friends, enjoyed a joyful and supportive childhood. As she grew older, her beauty, charisma, and extensive social circle became well known. After earning a degree in business administration, she moved into an apartment in Brooklyn, conveniently close to her father's home. Meanwhile, her mother relocated to Florida. Kim was the apple of her parents' eyes, showered with love and encouragement as she gained independence. Her father gifted her a new car, a proud symbol of her achievements. Yet, despite his hopes, she was determined to forge her own path, choosing not to join the family business. Instead, she secured a part-time accounting job at a reputable firm. By the age of 20, Kimberly seemed to have everything: youth, beauty, and bright prospects. Her striking appearance, wild hair, and meticulous grooming made her stand out. Responsible and socially active, she enjoyed parties and gatherings but never found herself in trouble. Her future appeared promising. However, fate had other plans. Her father later reflected that Kim's kindness was both her greatest strength and her most vulnerable trait. This vulnerability was evident in early 1995 when she opened her home to her friend Liz, her boyfriend Joshua Torres, and their young child, while their apartment was under renovation. Joshua, only 2 years older than Kimberly, quickly formed a close bond with her. The 3 spent their days cooking, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. Although her father expressed concerns about the arrangement, he ultimately respected his daughter's decision. On Tuesday, the 28th of February, 1995, Kimberly and Liz decided to go to a party. They dressed up, applied makeup, and enjoyed a lively night of dancing and socializing. Around 4 in the morning, they returned home. The following day, as was his routine, Tommy called to check on Kimberly. His daughter's disappearance left him deeply unsettled, and when he found no response from her, he drove to her apartment. There, he discovered Liz, but no sign of Kimberly. Liz was confused, insisting she had last seen Kim entering her bedroom just hours earlier. Meanwhile, Tommy checked the garage and saw that Kimberly's car was missing. As he prepared to leave, something on the floor caught his eye: a single gold earring. Recognizing it as part of a pair he had given his daughter, he wasted no time and reported her missing, prompting an urgent police investigation. The officers questioned Liz, who confirmed that Kimberly had been wearing those earrings that night. The lead detective quickly suspected the worst, considering abduction as a likely scenario, possibly motivated by her car. A citywide alert was issued, including Kimberly's physical description, and authorities contacted aviation officials to check areas where abandoned vehicles often appeared. As hours turned into days, anxiety grew among her loved ones. That evening, Tommy returned home to find his answering machine blinking. His heart pounded. Was it Kimberly? He pressed play, but only silence greeted him. Strangely, there had been 2 calls that ended abruptly, possibly due to technical issues. Meanwhile, investigators sifted through hospital and morgue records, but no clues emerged. Friends and neighbors, including Liz and Joshua, were questioned, yet no leads surfaced. After 48 hours with no sign of Kimberly, Marlene flew in from Florida, desperate for answers. A friend suggested she consult a well-known psychic with a television show. Holding a photo of her daughter, Marlene visited the psychic, who reassured her that Kimberly was alive but in grave danger. More chillingly, the psychic claimed the kidnapper's name started with the letter J. This eerie revelation quickly gained media attention and was broadcasted on television. At the apartment, Marlene gathered Kimberly's friends and played the psychic's recording. Joshua and Julio Negron reacted with visible discomfort and quickly left, claiming they would search for Kim themselves. Meanwhile, Tommy tirelessly retraced her steps, speaking with anyone who might have seen her. Police meticulously reconstructed Kimberly's last known movements and re-examined her apartment, but found no signs of forced entry or struggle. No blood, overturned furniture, or any indication of violence. It appeared either that someone had cleaned thoroughly or that the intruder had been careful not to leave evidence. Adding to the mystery, Kimberly's car had vanished without a trace. Investigators checked her bank records and discovered her credit card had been used the night of the party, ruling out the possibility that she had run away voluntarily. With no new leads, authorities focused on the psychic's claim that Kimberly was being held by 4 people eager to contact her. The psychic warned that time was running out, and as tensions mounted, everyone close to Kimberly came under intense scrutiny. Despite ongoing investigations, the true story remained elusive. Yet one thing was certain. Someone within Kimberly's inner circle possessed more knowledge than they admitted. As detectives probed deeper, they uncovered that on the morning of March 1st, Kimberly's home phone had registered 65 calls. Initially, this detail raised suspicion, but Joshua quickly clarified that he had made those calls himself, desperately trying to contact Kimberly's friends and acquaintances to determine where she had spent the night and why she hadn't returned home. He referred to her affectionately as his little sister. With Liz's assistance, authorities documented Kimberly's last known outfit and produced a composite sketch emphasizing 2 distinctive tattoos, one of a scorpion and another of an infinity symbol, located on her waist. On March 4th, firefighters responded to an emergency at an abandoned house in Queens, where they encountered a horrifying scene. After extinguishing the flames, they discovered a burned, bound, and gagged body in the basement. Forensic experts identified the remains as belonging to a woman in her early 20s. Despite the fire's destruction, a few strands of long black hair survived, and traces of duct tape were found on her limbs. Most chilling was the evidence indicating she had been alive when the fire was set. As investigators sifted through the ashes and examined dental records, it became clear that the blaze was no accident but an act of arson. The strong smell of gasoline and the staged nature of the scene confirmed this. Dental analysis ultimately verified the worst. The remains were Kimberly's. The lead detective was devastated upon confirming her identity, and her parents, Tommy and Marlene, were shattered by the brutal loss. Kimberly's murder shocked the city, making headlines in major newspapers, even in a place known for its violent and bizarre crimes. Her death was particularly brutal and incomprehensible, given her upstanding life. Her funeral was attended by many loved ones, including Liz and Joshua. Despite the media attention, the investigation had reached an impasse. Unwilling to let her killer escape justice, Tommy offered a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. He personally stationed himself outside Kimberly's old apartment, questioning residents and searching for clues. Over time, this relentless pursuit consumed him, transforming into a full-time mission. He spent 12 to 16 hours daily seeking answers, refusing to give up. One day, while grappling with the unresolved case, Tommy remembered something strange. Unanswered calls on Kimberly's answering machine, with no voicemail messages left. This detail gnawed at him, raising new questions. A potential breakthrough appeared when officers found Kimberly's car parked in a quiet area not far from where her body was discovered, prompting hopes of uncovering fingerprints that might finally lead to her killer. Inside the vehicle, apart from a single strand of her hair and an earring, every surface had been meticulously cleaned, leaving little hope for forensic evidence. The tragedy seemed almost sanitized, as if the crime scene had been deliberately erased. Yet, soon after, Tommy found himself under suspicion. Rumors spread that his wealth and success linked him to the local mafia, with some even suggesting Kimberly's death was a targeted attack against him. Accusations circulated among his own circle, but Tommy strongly denied any involvement, both in Kimberly's murder and in any criminal activity. When authorities investigated his business affairs, they found no illegal dealings. He was entirely innocent. Despite clearing his name, the case grew colder with each passing month, leaving Tommy haunted by unanswered questions. In July of that year, a young man was arrested for burglary, and unexpectedly, he provided a startling lead. He claimed to have overheard an acquaintance boasting about killing Kimberly with a group of friends. The individual he named was Joshua. Intrigued, investigators brought Joshua in for questioning. He denied any involvement, but inadvertently revealed a crucial detail. If he had been Kimberly's captor, he would have fed her. This statement alarmed authorities because no media reports mentioned Kimberly suffering from starvation, dehydration, or exposure. Only police and forensic teams knew this grim truth, which had been deliberately kept from the public to spare Tommy further pain. As suspicions intensified, detectives delved into Joshua's background, uncovering troubling history that strengthened their case. In October 1989, he had been charged with promoting prostitution, and 2 years later he was arrested again for assault and unlawful imprisonment. At the time of Kimberly's disappearance, Joshua was unemployed, living off his girlfriend's income and caring for their young child, an arrangement that gave him ample opportunity to plan a crime. Investigators also discovered that he was familiar with Kimberly's routines, raising more questions. If money was the motive, why hadn't a ransom demand been made? Some believed Joshua saw no other way out and, in a desperate act, decided to eliminate Kimberly. Further analysis of his phone records from that morning revealed blatant lies. The numbers he dialed were mostly random contacts with no connection to Kimberly. A deeper search into his online activity uncovered that, on March 1st, Joshua had sent a series of cryptic messages. As law enforcement tightened their grip, they eventually contacted Julio, an acquaintance of Joshua. Julio not only confessed, but also cooperated fully, providing investigators with crucial missing pieces. His testimony led authorities to identify 2 other potential accomplices, bringing the case closer to resolution. Jose Neon, despite sharing a surname with Julio, was not related to him, nor was he connected to Nicola Liti, a notorious figure in the criminal underworld. Liti was infamous under the aliases Little Y or Peno in Spanish. The case quickly took a dark turn when 4 suspects, all with names beginning with J, were identified. Within hours, both Joshua and Nicholas were arrested. Nicola, already well known to law enforcement, had an extensive criminal record that included robbery, illegal firearm possession, and assault. By the time authorities linked Jose to the crime, he had already fallen victim to a fatal shooting. Investigators strongly suspected that Joshua was responsible for Jose's murder, aiming to eliminate him before he could betray them regarding Kimberly's fate. During interrogation, Joshua denied any involvement, while Nicholas supported Julio's version of events through testimonies and evidence. The grim truth emerged. Joshua had devised his most daring plan right under Kimberly's roof. Enchanted by her luxury car, fashionable clothes, and wealthy father, he saw only dollar signs. On March 1st, 1995, Joshua and his accomplices kidnapped Kimberly, intending to extort her father for $775,000. They confined her in a freezing basement of an abandoned house, binding and gagging her to silence her cries for help. However, their plan quickly unraveled due to their own incompetence. When they tried to contact Kimberly's father, Tommy, to demand the ransom, they failed miserably. One of them neglected to wait for the answering machine to beep, so their message was never recorded. Hours passed with no response from Tommy, and the kidnappers remained unaware that their own carelessness was to blame. Panic set in, and their anxiety deepened when a supposed psychic's comments about the letter J convinced them they had been exposed. Frightened and clueless, they saw no way out. Joshua then devised a horrifying solution. The 3 returned to the basement where Kimberly, nearly frozen and barely moving from the cold, was consumed by terror. They doused her in gasoline and set her ablaze. Julio was later charged as an accessory, while Joshua and Nicholas faced first-degree murder charges. When Tommy learned of Kimberly's death and the arrests, he publicly admitted that the ordeal offered little solace. On live television, he revealed that for months he had contemplated taking justice into his own hands. But ultimately, no matter how it happened, his daughter was gone forever. During his trial in November of 1996, Joshua refused to testify, maintaining his innocence. Yet, after a swift jury trial, he was found guilty. At his sentencing, Joshua addressed the court, offering condolences to the Antino family and insisting he had never harmed Kimberly, whom he called a precious jewel. As he spoke, Kimberly's mother broke down, leaning on her ex-husband's shoulder in tears. For 9 agonizing minutes, the courtroom was filled with grief. The judge sentenced Joshua to a lengthy prison term, marking the tragic culmination of a case marked by cruelty and loss. Kimberly's murderer was sentenced to 58 years in prison, a punishment that reflected the gravity of the crime. The judge also remarked that, had New York reinstated the death penalty a little earlier, he would have had no hesitation in imposing it. Tommy, however, made it clear that he believed such a penalty was excessively harsh. The following year, Nicola faced trial and received the same sentence as Julio, 6 years behind bars, due to his role as an accomplice and his failure to prevent the crime.